Tally-ho! And welcome to my review for Lord Winklebottom Investigates, an upper-class, point-and-click adventure where our splendid protagonists Lord Winklebottom and Dr. Frumple investigate the murder of their dear friend. Can the quintessential English fellow save the day? I say I do ruddy hope so, Watto. Set in the 1920s, Lord Winklebottom is the world's foremost detective, ably assisted by his lieutenant Dr. Frumple. An invitation to an old friend's house ends in tragedy as the owner is murdered moments before they arrive. Lord Winklebottom must use his powers of deduction to interview the party guests and to get to the bottom of this mystery. Lord Winklebottom Investigates is an anthropomorphic, point-and-click adventure game inspired by Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie, which relies heavily on dialogue and problem solving. It's very easy to stereotype the English. We all walk around sipping cups of tea, wearing monocles and top hats, and speak frightfully posh. That is what Lord Winklebottom would have you think anyway. The obvious omission being our obsession of talking about the weather, as my neighbour will attest to. There's plenty of observational and satirical comedy piled into the game, and most of it hits the mark. I'm not quite sure if it would appeal more to the English though. Perhaps it might get lost on others. Humour is the main attraction in this game, and there are plenty of clever one-liners that will have you chuckling to yourself. The comedy is never crude or appears immature, it's all good clean fun. And the language they use is hilarious sometimes, with their flamboyant use of upper-class English. Characters are very interesting, with clearly defined backstories and personalities. It is easy to establish a relationship with them, and they're all likeable and enjoyable to interact with. The relationship between Lord Winklebottom and Dr. Frumple is cleverly designed so that they are forever bouncing off each other with witty retorts and observations. Conversations never feel bloated, as questioning is short, blunt and to the point. There are no branching dialogues, just a couple of topics to touch upon, and answers are always brief. There are about 9 or 10 characters within the story, and you will find yourself questioning them regularly to see if any of the topics light up to indicate a new line of inquiry. The voice acting is superb, and they all have distinctive ways of speaking, depending on their class and positions in life. I found myself wandering around quite a lot in search of clues or ways to forward the story, and they are quite difficult to find, even though there aren't that many of them. This did make the short game feel a little fragmented and a touch frustrating, but puzzle lovers will probably enjoy this more than narrative lovers, as puzzles heavily outweigh the story. There aren't many visual clues, the spacebar does not highlight active areas, but there is a hint button to point you in the right direction if you do get stuck. I got stuck on a couple of occasions, and this usually highlights whether a puzzle is clever or just illogical. Personally, I wouldn't cut off a tile with a knife, I would use scissors, and beware that certain objects will appear useless on first inspection, and you may rule them out, only for them to come into play later with a certain puzzle. Apart from a few annoyances, puzzles were mainly logical, and some were very imaginative and original. There is some inventory combination, but not too much, and certain objects need to be examined first before they can be interacted with. The game tries to steer you in a linear fashion, and tends to only throw 1 or 2 puzzles at you at any given time. If you try to solve a puzzle out of order, you're likely to be told to complete another task first. There will be puzzles that will stick in your memory, like the seance puzzle, that was enjoyable and interactive to perform, but the game mostly felt like a stuttering quest for finding items and inching closer and closer to the finale. It didn't flow very well, I didn't think. Most of the time I was just moving from one room to the next looking for things I had missed. I was reluctant to use the hint, as there was an achievement not to do so. The story suffered during these moments of searching endlessly, but even if the difficult to find items were simple to locate, the story never gets going until later in the game, and only when the murderer has been revealed. Very little story content is told up until this point, We find out about the characters, their lives and preferences, but nothing much to add intrigue to events. All the questioning and puzzle solutions are just a way of finding out each character's potential motives for killing the host, and once these are revealed, the story begins. The last third of the game was the most enjoyable for me, as this is where the story started flying, only to end briefly afterwards. The game is reasonably short and can be completed in 4 hours or more, and most of this will be taking up questioning and puzzle solving. Questioning is too shallow to be meaningful, but it is a good platform to keep witty banter at the forefront and a cosy way of getting to know the characters. Please note that there are some extra story bits in the credits in true Marvel Studios style, so watch through those. There is no walking in this game, everything is done in a first-person view, and rooms can be navigated easily and quickly. All items, characters and situations are contained within one screen, and there aren't that many objects to interact with. Hovering over any objects can be investigated will reveal a magnifying glass, and any items that can be picked up will show a hoof. Items can be combined in your inventory, but there is no indication of this, like a plus sign. You'll just have to keep trying. There are a couple of save slots and 15 achievements to obtain. I missed one on my first playthrough, but there is no chapter to select, so more save slots would have been welcomed. Lord Winklebottom Investigates is a good example of a point-and-click adventure, with some reasonably tough puzzles and deductions to be made. Even though the story takes a while to get going, it is still an enjoyable game, especially if you relish the puzzle side more. The humour and the character interaction, especially between the investigating duo, is very amusing, and the whole affair is uplifting and charming. If you like murder mysteries and solving puzzles in this genre, then I could easily recommend. Okay, that's all for today. A big thank you to Indie Game Collective for providing me with the key. My next review will be for Gerda, A Flame in Winter, a narrative adventure set during World War II and the occupation of her small Danish village. There are some unusual RPG elements along with interesting aspects to do with trust and loyalty. If you are interested in that one, please click the notification bell, and if you enjoyed this review, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe. Thanks, and see you soon.